Bro,
That
I
did make
had
it
a
in there, thank
dream.
God.
I had a dream. I had a dream that the barrel full of batteries was real.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I thought I just had a bunch of batteries. I didn't not like not that I had all of them, but like I just thought that I had a bunch of those. Maybe I'm conflating when we like closed up our old shop, so we had like a bunch of like old stock from it that we weren't using. Uh, yeah, and like part of that old stock was that we had like a shit ton of batteries.
Well, now they're permanently probing Jack's car forever. Would someone like to start the episode properly in the correct order? With the episode title.
Sure. I realize that. So this is episode 4, Squares and Lemmings. The entire web of the labyrinth was designed to never be fully comprehended. Its frills fold over and contradict themselves such that even an all-knowing one would become ensnared forever. Only the lost creatures inside stood a chance of escape. It's from an unknown author in 1058 year of our Lord.
Yeah, and people said only the internet provided universal anonymity. Cringe.
Hmm. All right, now we can move into the
uh,
recap. What happened last time on Dragon Ball Z?
I can do it again really quick. We heard about and attended a anti-nuclear weapons test protest in which
After
we met
learning
up
how
with
to
a man.
steal.
After learning how to steal,
yeah, I learned how to break and enter. Yeah, that's very important.
we
It'll definitely help later.
while at that protest we met up with a group of weird radical old men. Um, one of whom is named Eugene Conciliet, who with his help, we were able to infiltrate the military base in order to attempt to stop the nuclear weapons test. The method of infiltration of the base was us willfully gaining access to the shadow train station featured in episode 1. This sort of like liminal shadow space that is just seems to be a subway that connects different points of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we entered that through a black spire at the Trinity site, which, for those not in the know, is the location of the first ever nuclear weapons test on July 16th, not July 15th, July 16th.
What's July 15th?
July 15th, there was originally when the nuclear weapons test was scheduled for, but there was a awful hurricane level storm in the middle of the New Mexico desert that prevented them from doing the test. That wasn't relevant to the game. That's just general real life knowledge that I felt
Yeah, I meant what day did
would
we
be.
record on?
I mean, the 14th and the 15th, yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to get
Yeah,
that for the record.
14, 15.
It is currently the 22nd, 1 week
14,
later.
15.
Yeah. So there. Yes, we infiltrated the base through the shadow subway, to which a portal into it was at the Trinity site because the rifts to get into that space are wide enough for like a body to slip through at places of like great tragedy, as it was explained to us by that funny French
Mhm.
guy that we met who was helping us.
CDA.
Great and terrible events.
Yeah. We sneak around a little bit on the military base, trying to be really covert. We are
For all of like 5 minutes.
we are yeah, quickly stopped and accosted by a giant man A man like
As he
the
was
size of a
described.
fucking shed. He was like
Hmm.
albino. That's all I remember. He had the name Samson tattooed on the back of his neck, which is so fucking troubling.
Yeah,
Uh,
that one isn't. Oof.
yeah, shots were exchanged. Bombs were thrown, and we evaded that guy. But then, like, the whole base is on red alert for us. We make our way to a electrically locked door into a bunker that Conciliate wants us to go to, which he like magically divines by flipping a coin and following it. In that electrically locked door, Sheila like puts her hand through it electrically, thinking about that time that she was taken through an electrical power line magically by a shadow person.
Meanwhile, Jack learned that doing drugs prevents you from using psychic powers. Maybe.
Yeah, she unlocked the door using her funny special skills, and we then got into the bunker room. There was a camera filming the test site with like the crane holding up the bomb far in the distance. While Conciliate breaks the camera, Sheila tried to like investigate what was going on with like the weird machinery that the camera was like feeding a line to beneath the room. And I saw some very I saw like a bunch of flashes of me and Jack.
Yep.
Saw
I was
saw
gonna
a bunch
say I was also there.
of flashes of just like the perspective of cameras in just like the world, until eventually there was one perspective of a what was described as some sort of a biological entity in a large tube jar container type apparatus that
Were they green? I think I
was it a
remember
green,
them being green.
was it a green tube?
No.
It was a purple tube.
It was a
Oh,
purple
purple.
tube.
Okay.
The second most scientific color. Um yeah, Sheila and Jack saw a vision of that creature, which like bumped them out of that vision they were having, trying to tap into that system.
It looked back at us enough to hurt.
We then, with the camera broken, make our way out to try to stop the actual bomb from going off. We have a little kerfuffle with some guards. We steal we steal a Jeep. And then,
Guards?
being pursued, we make our way out to the bomb site.
Hold on. Let's not just skip over the fact that those people had metal skeletons and black oil for blood.
Sorry. Yeah, those guys who we had a scrape with.
And one of them nearly choked you to death before he blew off both of his arms.
Yeah. The term I've written down, I've been using in the notes, is crude cyborgs with like wrought iron, metal bones, and oil blood. Yeah, those guys were definitely disturbing and a problem. We just book it
And
into the
flammable.
desert. Yeah, we book it into the desert. We got a sample of some of their blood too. Driving into the desert, we make our way to the bomb site. Conciliate, the funny old Frenchman, he like gets out of the truck with like a bunch of the homemade pipe bombs that he brought with him. And he says like, "Oh, I'm gonna go stop the guys pursuing, chasing after us. You guys just stop the bomb." Danny and Jack are kind of on that. Danny starts like climbing up the gurney that the bomb is hanging from. The bomb has an inscription on it. It says
Last light 386.
thank you. That's what the bomb says on it.
Ominous number.
Yeah.
Very worrying number.
There's explosions going off in the desert from some of our old French gentleman friends trying to like scare off these troops trying to stop us. Everything's totally crazy. We're, under a bunch of constraints. And then there's like a click, and then Danny and Jack see the bomb start to fall. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they have like a split fucking second where Danny throws the bomb and Jack goes to shoot at it. And then like, beat, and then there's like a explosion, everything gets toppled, the cars are turned over, everybody goes flying everywhere. We come to see like a where the bomb would have landed, there is now a black obelisk standing in the middle of the desert.
That reaches to the clouds.
Yeah, very tall object. And like the sky is like darkening and everything's turning grayscale.
The bleaching of its color and slowly getting darker as we. It starts out as a black orb, and that orb turns into the spire.
Yeah. I go retrieve Conciliate from the desert after previously thinking if he wasn't dead before, he's definitely dead now, but he wasn't. He was described as a very frail old man. Yeah, he gets on his feet. We all, disheveled and distraught and dazed, and our ears ringing.
I forget how injured he is. Is he like full of holes and actively dying, or is he just?
No, he's just generally roughed up because he was, in the vicinity of a magical explosion, just like we were.
Mm-hmm.
We assess situation, say like, you know what, I think we got to call it here. We tried really hard, did all we could. We step through that obelisk back into the shadow subway again, into a empty station. Normally they're full of like shadow ghost people, but the station for this recently erected portal was empty, interestingly. And then we sit there for a minute. We're all just quiet, and then we realize after a little bit, normally the train's supposed to come every 3 minutes. No train comes, is something that we realize. And that's where we ended.
Very good recap. Is there anything anybody thinks we need to add to that?
Not. Let's see. Oh, important piece of information that didn't make it into the recap, I don't think. Conciliate knows Vulcanelli, which is the name that he gave for who we think is Professor Vulcan.
Vulcanelli? Okay, and see, this is okay. Vulcanelli.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sheila thought that like somehow mixed up Vulcan and Alvis in her mind and asked about it.
Yeah, I asked the DM out of character just to be in my own, like have everything straight in my own head, that was a, that is what my character thought. That wasn't just me fucking up saying the wrong thing in character. That is what my character believed to be the case. Now, is that human error like it was on my part, or is it subliminal psychic messaging? Who could say?
Mm-hmm.
Jury's out on that one. Yeah, yeah.
I think there were the things that wished to be raised before we get into the episode proper. Is that true for anybody?
Yeah, I've got a couple of points.
Would they like to canonize some discussion?
For one thing, Jack is like in awe of, is that what nuclear weapons actually do? I don't know if that's better or worse. It feels worse.
I think maybe this was said during the last recording, but Danny D doesn't think that aliens are the only scary thing anymore.
Yeah. Jack believes that whatever in between space the train station is got either extended or wiped clean by this new blast.
Yeah.
And that it's supposed to be an in between space for psychic shadows, maybe the dead.
Many unanswered questions. Lots of context, lots of people who definitely owe us answers that we're going to ask them to. We're going to ask questions to.
Since the discussion after the end of the last session, I'm trying to decide if Jack knows what Hawking radiation is, which is very relevant to this.
Probably not. I don't know. I think Sheila's the smart one, and I don't think she would know like that explicit term, but she'd
maybe Danny
start
knows
investigating. She'd definitely start investigating the nothing and anti-nothing term analogy.
Maybe Danny knows what
was
Hawking radiation is.
Was that even an analogy?
Danny
does know.
Oh shit.
He has a very rough knowledge of it. It's kind of important to know, considering he's an alien guy.
Right, it's space stuff. He knows a lot about space. That makes sense. What does Danny think black holes are?
What did he think black holes are, and what does he now think black holes are?
Ooh, okay. Danny D definitely thought that black holes were aliens. Black holes were like who am I thinking of? Like eldritch aliens, right? Maybe
like
maybe
Lovecraft
now,
stuff.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. Yeah, like Lovecraft stuff, but like I feel like Lovecraft stuff isn't really like alien. It's just kind of like monstrous, if that makes sense.
If you actually read the stories, it's way more explicitly alien.
Okay, when I guess alien is like in that sense is like foreign or like strange.
Yeah.
When I say alien, I mean like particularly from like a different planet.
If I remember, the penguin aliens who are at the South Pole at the Mountains of Madness are from Pluto in a Lovecraft story. So like there is a lot of that also. It's just that people don't usually talk about that part. Nobody knows what the fungi from Yugoth are, so that's just me.
Yeah, and I read it anyways.
All right, so, but what do you think black holes are now?
Black holes. Yeah. Black holes might just be the portals that way. Well, yeah, black holes might just be like portals now, like man-made portals.
If it's not man-made, if it's not from aliens, if a nuclear weapon or whatever it is that we just saw is enough to punch one of these holes between worlds, then surely a collapsing supernova would also do that.
What could be more
Right?
great and terrible than the death of a star?
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask your good friend Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. There you go.
Dude, Danny has a picture of the bomb, so he can show. He has a picture of the bomb
He has a
and
picture
of the
oh, that's why-
obelisk
good on him. Right.
So like,
You also have a sample of the freakazoid blood.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like, bro, Neil about to come in big right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, another piece of Jack's thought in the wake of all of this is going into it, he was reluctant to use lethal force for a little bit because, the grunts, the soldiers they're part of the man. They're also still Americans. That's how he thought of it.
Right.
Now
They're
that
just
we've
like-
determined that they're metal and oil inside, that is no longer a problem. Violence is fully on the table.
Nah, Sheila shoots first. Sheila fought at Samson, no question.
Mm-hmm. If possible, Jack has been more radicalized.
Yeah.
Yeah, wake up, people. Take arms.
Uh-huh.
All right. Are there any other concerns that you wanted to raise before we got into session?
I have near future plans. I want to visit the Indian reservation and ask them about the previous nuclear test and what they saw.
Well, I mean that,
And
we'll see if
I
we
want to
get
buy some ayahuasca from them. Or, some other ethnobotanical containing DMT.
Simon, did you
Oh
have
my-
one?
all my the majority of my notes are all like in character stuff.
All right.
But all I will say is just this one note of that Occam's razor. This is something that Roma said last night. We were talking about that Occam's razor and Arkham's razor are the two rails that the trains ride for. In
Oh
terms
my
of
god.
the vibe of this game.
Oh my god.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
I was just being poetic. They're not literally named that.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't get my protest sign into the text of the previous episode, so I wanted to mention it here if anybody was wondering. Jack's protest sign said, "Nuclear weapons will kill us all."
All right. All right, guys. You're there. Oh,
What?
you guys are sorry, Ricardo put a picture of funny bald man.
That's
You
crazy,
mentioned
man.
DMT.
You ever had DMT?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are back. You're in the train station. We pick up right where we left off.
All right.
You've all just realized that the train isn't coming.
Okay.
You waited about let's say you waited 10 minutes, and just in basically silent mourning.
Jack is on one knee.
Are you taking a knee for the country?
It not like that, but it's basically I cannot remain standing in my current emotional state unless I am moving.
Are there like benches? Is this like a normal subway station that there's like fixtures
Yeah.
of sort of structure? Okay.
I'm keeping the knee imagery. Like it's still too much. Can't process that there are benches. Just
Yeah.
sure.
What I was gonna say is that Sheila is like hunched over, sitting on a bench, like vigorously fucking taking, like writing shit in her notebook.
This is Danny D's face right now.
Conciliette is fucking ghost white.
Yeah.
And like staring into like the path that the train would come from, and he's like shivering in his boots, like his jaw, like his lip is trembling.
Okay.
I'm just gonna straight ask him what the trains are. What are the trains? You know way more about this than we do. That sounds bad, but how bad is it?
He tells you that the um the trains are part of something of a higher order. They are the messengers and deliverers of fate. But even even my master never truly knew what they the nature of them.
Your master.
Yes? Is that a rhetorical question?
Speak more.
Speak more. This man is at his limit. He said upon you saying that, he says, Master, Falconelli has to know. He has to know something. He's been down here this whole time. He has to have found something. We were supposed to stop that. That was the point where we had to stop it.
Wait, down here the whole time? And I'm seeing that nothing is happening and nothing is coming. So I have gotten up
Yeah.
and I'm like getting his arm. Like, does he need help walking or something? Because I'm imagining
Yeah.
his arm over my shoulder and like we're walking down the rail.
I believe I said this
To get
last
back to
time,
where we
but
started.
he either has a like sprained or broken ankle.
Mm.
I believe that Sheila helped him down here.
Yeah. And then she started fugue stating, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wanna ask, uh, how dangerous it would be to start walking along the train tracks.
if
I'm
at any
already doing it, so
if at any point the train does happen to come and we're caught out there, then if it is a physical object, which it felt like it was when it rushed underneath my feet at 60 miles an hour, it would probably kill us instantly.
who even knows anymore?
Is there
What-
like space on the sides? Is this like a large enough channel on the side so that we could just like walk on the side instead of like on the train track?
Definitely not safely.
Yeah, most like at least like a city subway isn't going to have that sort of clearance.
Okay, my perception of these has been tainted by GTA, where you could just kind of walk on the sides.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Conciliette, if you're holding him up on your shoulder, Jack,
Yeah.
he has his eyes closed and his head like hung as if in like a prayer.
Mhm.
And while you guys are talking about like, can we like slip by or whatever, he kind of softly taps the ground with his bad heel, and then he like comes off of your shoulder and is like standing on his own 2 feet.
Mm.
Um,
What did you just do there?
my ankle's starting to feel better. Um,
That was
Is
quick.
that
Is that no?
Is that because of where we are?
No.
All
It
right.
has nothing to do with this place. I need to find Falconelli. You said you knew where Dr. Alvis was.
Yeah.
What's his relation to you?
I've never met him personally, but I know that Falconelli before back before the war, he gave Dr. Alvis was one of the few people who was told uh, was told Falconelli's prophecy.
Which, this might sound ignorant, which war?
Let's see. That would be hold on, wait. I think I might have had a funny name for it. World War II. The answer is World War II. I'm scrolling to make sure I don't have a funny name for it.
Okay. Sure. That's what I assumed, but I find there's a lot of things going unsaid that I'm trying to sort of get a hold on.
Man, how are we not dead?
That is an incredibly good question.
He starts. If you guys aren't already walking, he starts walking down the tracks.
The internet may have cut out when I said it, but we are. By putting him on my shoulder, I started us walking down the tracks.
Okay, good. Yeah. So you guys have been walking for a little bit.
Okay. I ask him, do you have any real heading down here? Is there something you're attempting to follow?
I think I will have to map it out as I go.
Could you not give something in order to receive guidance in return?
I don't know if those laws will work here.
Notes.
This place might be this place is above many of the laws of our natural world.
At least it's not above oxygen.
I'll leave that to your imagination.
What does it smell like here?
It's damp, but I'd say it smells. Yeah, there's a lot of humidity in the air, and you can smell like the gravel that you're walking on. I'd say it smells like coal almost.
Are we color saturated in here?
Yes, although it is pretty dark. Especially when you're walking down, like when you're walking down this rail, it's like you're walking down a black cave.
Yeah.
You're basically going by feel, unless you have. Does anyone have a light?
Yeah, we all had flashlights.
Okay, well, you're using flashlights then.
I would also like to, every 30 steps, be what's the surface of the wall like?
It's brick.
I would like to be producing a sticky note from my bag and sticking it on the wall.
Yeah. It's damp enough to where even without the glue, like the paper just gloms on like mache.
Nice. Maybe not 30 paces, but like, every 100 paces.
Sure. You come to another. As you're walking along, there's like occasionally like the rails will like meet another section of rails, and then they will like other sections of rails will like feed into it.
So we come to junctions, basically.
Yeah, you're passing junctions occasionally.
Are they like just like wide junctions where it's like two that go into one?
Yeah, except like you're coming from one of the two that's joining into one.
Okay. So we're getting
You're heading.
we're following branches in, basically.
Yeah.
Do we assume
Constantly
that
says that we're heading downstream. Heading downstream.
okay? I was gonna ask if directionality matters here, or like how it relates to the real world. So like
Do you have a
like
compass?
ooh, I do. I
You
do have a
do.
compass.
Yeah.
I do have a compass.
That's part of your character sheet is that you got it.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking up for you.
All right. What direction does it point in?
North is exactly the direction you're going.
Okay. Does anybody remember what direction we were going? We were going north last session, right? Or like
No, that's weird. Because we had to go north by northwest to get here.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, do we need to go south now in here?
It was Vulcanelli. It was Conciliat
Who's started?
who directed us.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
So is it
um,
reversed?
What I'll say to you, Danny, is that whenever you're walking and as you go, like you can tell that the walls are curving and that the rail is curving, but as it curves, your compass is like is following it.
Oh.
ooh, spooky.
At one point you get to a junction that is at one point you get to a junction after pulling this out, and you guys are walking along, and Conciliat, who's like kind of leading the pack, I imagine. He doesn't ask you for directions. He just takes the route that it is pointing.
Okay. Hey Sheila, give me one of those sticky notes.
Without even looking, just like peels one off, hands it to you as she's like, holding her notebook in one hand, goes back to writing.
Do you just light it?
Yeah, light it and see how it burns, and then like drops it off to the side.
It burns like normal.
Okay.
Okay. I was very, yeah. I was worried about what other gases were in the air in here. So I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, that was potentially very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of day.
I know
Yeah.
like the warp is flammable or something. I don't know.
I very nearly burned one of my note cards as a prop.
I see.
everyone wanted to light fires in their room.
I'm in my living room actually, so not any less dangerous. Don't know why I brought it up.
Yeah. Okay. You guys see a train station coming up.
Ooh.
As you come around a bend, you can see the light of a train station there.
Alright.
Do we see any motion up there?
No. As you approach it, this one is also empty.
Troubling.
Conciliat looks around the room as you guys are coming up upon it, and he says, "All right, we're going the right way at least. This is the one. This is where we got in."
Okay, cool, very cool.
All right.
Okay.
That's
I'm gonna do
a
something.
start.
I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna take a sticky note. I'm gonna write Trinity Site on it. I'm gonna stick it on one of the columns. Or no, actually, I'm gonna stick it like under a bench.
That's not what this site is, by the way.
It's not. That's where we got in. That's what you said.
Yes.
No, where we came out of this place is where we.
Yeah, where you got
this
into
is where
the
we got into the
base.
base.
Oh, okay. Then I'll write base. I was confused. Man, what happened in that bunk room? Oh shit.
Yeah, what happened in that bunker room, you think?
I don't want to talk about it.
Somebody doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So he continues leading the way down the track. Anyone have anything that they wish to raise? You're about halfway to your destination.
He continues going down?
Well, you got to get off
we
the
don't want to
base.
come back up in the base.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
How are we going to get back up the ladder?
Is that a real question for
save the-
him?
Yeah, that's a real question for him.
Does anybody have any rope?
We had rope. I think we spent it all. Danny might have more.
Yeah, dude, I'm a hiker. I always have a compass and some rope.
And a Geodude in your pocket.
Yeah.
Geodude.
Like an onyx.
Yeah.
Well, DM,
I'm saying that this
good?
is your chance to ask Conciliette before, you part
Yes.
ways.
What do you mean part ways?
He's staying down here. That's his intention.
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna ask him some stuff. Okay, I have questions for him. I think she'll at one point claps her book closed, and caps her pen. Even though I'm going to immediately open back up my notes and uncap my pen because I'm going to write down his answers. And she says, "Who is your master really?"
Identity is a very important thing, especially in our modern world. We have always kept it closely guarded. Ever since I've known him, he's only ever gone. He has gone by the multiple names, the ones you've heard. I believe Falconelli is his oldest name. That's what I first learned of him as.
Where is he from? What is he of?
I do not know.
Why do you trust him so thoroughly?
I first met him in, I believe it was the summer of 1911 in France. I was a young scholar at the time, and he showed and I took a liking to his writings, and I tracked him down and began to follow his teachings. He would disappear often for weeks or months at a time, but he held great sway within the colleges of France, colleges of Paris. Sorry, that's where he was. But even I don't know his. I know that at one point he also had a master who passed down his thoughts onto him.
This is a detail that I just don't remember, but Jack would know this. How
No.
old does Vulcan look?
He looks like he's in his 50s.
Conciliate.
Conciliate.
No, Vulcan.
Oh, Vulcan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vulcan is
because Conciliate is very you said he looks like he's in his 80s.
Conciliate looks like he's 50, pushing 60. Vulcan looks like he's low 30s. He looks like a guy who's 33 and very sharp for it.
So this guy who we're talking to,
the only guy
right
who
now,
I've described as looking 80 is Alvis.
So this man we're talking to right now,
yeah,
his age is doesn't add up.
It's pretty easy.
Visual appearance.
It's pretty easy to mix up someone who looks 50 and looks 70, but but given the circumstances, you're not sure whether to apply Occam or Arkham's razor.
Right.
Mhm.
Is it normal or is it the most extreme thing?
Yeah. Well, I'll just straight say, Vulcan looks like he's in his early 30s. Like, he's that old?
You've said Vulcan to me many times, but I fear we're talking about different people.
I was trying, Jack. I
My
was trying to
master
keep this.
disappeared down here almost uh uh almost 50 years ago.
Hmm.
I haven't heard from him since. I was hoping that he would come to our aid or something when we were right there at the end, but I guess he didn't find an answer down here either. Or he's lost.
Like us.
No, we're going that way.
Mm.
Jack cracks a smile, but it's clearly like only smiling from here down.
Right.
Like he's not in it.
Right. It's not in the eyes at all, but he's like, he does think the thing he said was funny.
Yeah, but in a way where he's like clearly going through the motions of humor.
Yeah.
I would like a selfie with
Like Conciliette?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does my I guess we'll see if my camera works here. I don't know why I didn't think to take a picture.
You've taken pictures down here before.
Yeah.
I have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
We just haven't
I
had a
didn't-
chance to
I
develop
didn't
anything.
remember that. Yeah.
No, they're instant.
Well,
they
yeah,
roll out the bottom.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I mean, they're not instant. They take like 30 seconds, but
Will Conciliate, will you allow me to take a picture with you?
you might find it wise to hide your identity as best you could, especially after today.
True.
It's hard to know if anybody might have seen you who would anyone who would have seen you today and is still alive most likely wants you dead.
I doff the cowboy hat and I'm like, well, I don't exactly look like me, so I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, the whole time I forgot.
The cowboy hat may have blown off in the explosion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that had to
similar
blow
gesture.
off. I think that had to blow off in the explosion, just to keep
Yeah.
it true.
Mm-hmm.
Can I still take that picture though? We're not gonna post it.
I don't think he would want you to, but he is not in a mind state of like he's not going to put too much energy into this. He's thinking about other things. If you want to snap a pic of him basically without asking, you can.
Daniel, don't bother him, man.
It has happened.
I'm imagining that in like the background of a different question.
Yeah. I mean, what else do I have for him? What's your relationship to the forum?
Oh, the Usenet forum. Okay.
Hmm.
He says that he says that I've been in America for several years now. As soon as I could leave, I left as soon as the war was over and made my way here by a boat. Since then, I've been trying to find those of like mind who might be able to lend their help. Using using my connections in various colleges around, he got access to a computer and was told others to search on there for people of like-minded to him.
Yeah.
One thing he'll say is that he never met anyone, never quite met anyone with quite as much promise as Alvis once had.
Is there... Man, where do I learn this stuff? Is there like a book I can read?
Do you ask him that?
Yes, straight up.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. So let me double check that I'm totally correct here.
God damn it, Tarvak, giving us homework.
Yeah, you've caused your own homework here.
Excuse me, are we gonna get a book to read this week?
Yeah. He would tell you that once I and another disciple of Fulcanelli, this other man, he didn't make it through the rest of the war, but if they're not all burned, you might be able to find a copy of our notes. They'd be titled The Cabalion.
The Cabalion.
Yes.
Like the Pokemon?
No. Kybalion.
That's 2 Y's? I heard that correctly?
No, there's not 2 Y's. It is
Okay, why?
Kybali, as in is, O-N.
Okay.
No looking that up yet, everybody. You get to look that up when you get home.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right, we have to roll dice to Google search.
Yes, you have to roll dice to Google search. Good job. You found the secret hidden book reading of this episode.
I did it. Oh.
Yeah. Does anybody, I'll say at this point, you come up upon he stops you guys, and he points upward, and there's the, what's it called? Oh yeah, the hole you would have dropped out of. There's a, just like probably like 30 yards to the left, or like down the track still, is like within sight as another station.
Right. We can just take that up.
Yeah.
Do these... Oh, I guess when we get to the other one, what I want to ask is, like, do these look like they've been, like, populated and used at all?
Before they almost had like a dollhouse perfect quality to them, if I remember correctly, where there wasn't signs of like wear and tear, there wasn't trash, there wasn't graffiti, there wasn't like advertisements
in the stations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I say is that they all look exactly the same to you. They look worn, but like they don't have graffiti, and they don't have like definable like markings or like advertisements or anything like that.
Okay.
Here's what I will say. Who asked that question just now?
Danny.
Danny, would you get ready to make a roll for me, please? I'm scrolling up. Yeah.
Outline, I imagine.
I think that's going to be an outline roll.
I'd like to assist because I've been wondering about this also.
Sure.
I want to study this place before we have to leave.
Sure. I will Yeah. No, just make this roll because you asked this question again. So that's going to be in. This is the first roll of the session, so please feel free to fuck it up. Please. Really set the tone for us.
One.
My God.
Put a space, you fool.
One.
Oh damn! I don't think you need Jack's assistance on this. What I'll say is, you realize looking back at this one, because they all look the same. You like compare it to your photos that you took the first time you were down here. And in that photo, there's no benches.
Oh.
That's what I'll say about that.
Okay.
You know me, I love to make you guys really think for it.
So there are no benches in the old one. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Well, you're here at another one now, and there's benches here. I'm saying that in your original picture there are no benches.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
This place is filling in. Then.
Conciliat answers that unprompted with, that means you're learning to see. This is your stop, and he points up to the hole that you need to exit through.
I'm gonna try and just straight jump it.
Okay.
I've realized it's
God.
like
wait, there's a station right next to it, isn't there? Why can't we just go up from that station?
Too late, I'm jumping it.
Think of this as he says to you, Sheila, think of this as my final lesson to you. At least until we meet again, maybe. You wanna jump that?
Yeah. In particular, what I'm trying to feel is that, you know, when you go to slam dunk something and you like want to feel the longest hang time.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to feel as I jump for it.
Like in basketball, you want to feel the weightlessness of like being at the top of a jump for as long as possible.
Yeah.
You're trying to be like
Mike.
that's
okay.
Exactly.
Make a separation roll.
Separate yourself from the ground.
All right. Where's my exclamation point?
There's my haha funny meme gif.
He's beginning to believe.
Yeah, what's the final what's the climax of the Matrix? Where does that take place?
In a train station.
You telling me the fucking Wachowski sisters are in on this shit?
Oh, we're
putting
deep
a
pen pals.
real life entity in his fucking cartoon.
We're deep long time pen pals.
Yeah.
I'm actually running a second game at the same time with just the Wachowski sisters.
Do you ever think it's crazy how they're both transgender?
That's crazy, by the way. I didn't know they both were.
Psychic
link.
What I'm wondering is why they didn't both come out at the same time.
Right.
They came out 10 years apart.
Well, you know, you flip a coin and you see who risked it first. Okay, you got a
pink
13,
pills.
Jack Fletcher.
Pink pills
Yeah.
are rare, you know.
That's
All
true.
right. I'll say that you jump. You jump up to reach, and you you like get to your maybe a little higher than your normal peak of height, but you linger there for like almost a full second before like
Ooh.
falling back to the floor. Hanseliet tells you that when you're on a different layer, the lower laws that are laws below you are not always in effect.
Okay, I see Danny D sees that, and you know he's a
Sorry,
little
he
bit
has
more.
one. I have one more addition to that. Sorry, because I phrased that
Okay.
badly. He says the best way to overcome laws of nature is to look for a contradictory law in a higher level of reality.
Hmm.
Okay, now you can say your bit.
Me, the player, I'm going to affirm that.
Okay. Thanks, Tarbuck. Thanks for being our. By the way, thanks for being our sole lifeguard.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure to keep us safe. Danny D, did you have something you wanted to say?
Notes are happening.
Okay, yeah. Danny D saw that happen, and he's like, he's a little bit more athletic than Jack, so he wants to try it too. See what happens to him.
All right. Here's what I'll say. No.
Okay.
You jump. You jump
Okay.
off the ground and you come back down to the ground.
Huh.
So just like
You
normal
jump.
jump. Okay.
Do a regular jump.
See, I'm not Neo. I'm not Neo. I'm not him. I am not him.
I want to be holding onto the ladder.
Okay.
Sheila says that out loud.
Okay. I see.
So Sheila, do you want to walk me through?
I see how this game works.
Walk me through your thought process.
I'm looking at the ladder.
Yes.
I reach up to grab it,
Mm.
expecting to.
Okay. Yeah. Sheila, who's not like part of your little tight circle right now. You guys like Danny runs up, he like does a jump, and he just like he almost like incidentally like lands into Falconelli.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's so frail.
and then Falconelli. Not Falconelli. Sorry.
See, I'm fucking you up now.
Yeah, you are. Conciliette. Sorry. Conciliette, you know, you miss Conciliette, and once you recover yourself, he again points up to Sheila, who is dangling. How's your grip strength, Sheila?
Probably not the best, but I'm really gonna, I'm
You're
sure
going,
there's like a moment.
Here's what I'll say,
of
Sheila.
adrenaline
You're
when
suddenly
I
hanging by one hand.
Yeah, I realized it was probably like a moment of adrenaline when I realized my feet aren't on the floor anymore, so I might try to.
Yeah, here's how it feels. It feels like you're standing on the floor. You reach up, you grab it, and then you realize that you're holding it, and you look down, and as soon as your feet like come into your field of view, like all your weight slams down on your arm.
Yeah.
Roll to see if you hold on.
What type of roll is this?
I think this is a connection roll.
It's gotta be connection.
To stay connected to the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm glad these are all so clear.
Try not.
I was not familiar with your game. I'm sorry.
You didn't read the rulebook?
No. I mean, I now understand how the situation weighing works.
Yeah. Hey Jack.
Yeah.
Sheila lands on you this time.
Hi, Jack.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you got me back, I guess.
I would say take damage, but it doesn't matter, so I won't bother.
All right.
Oh wait, you rolled a fucking 1? Oh wait. No,
Yeah.
something extra bad has to happen. Yeah.
No,
When you like when you suddenly have apparent weight again, you're like there for a second and you're trying to reach up. And then the ground shakes. And that causes you to slip and fall.
Okay.
There is a sustained rumble for a few seconds. And the lights in the station nearby like flicker off and on. And also the flashlights you have flicker off and on.
Oh.
Oh, that's as bad as it goes.
Conciliette is now like on alert. He says to you, I can't be followed down here. We need to go now. We need to make sure we keep as much distance between us and them as possible.
who are they?
Them. Who do you think?
The
Are you following us?
cogs.
The cogs. All right. Wrote that down.
Everyone's noting so hard this session. I'm so flattered.
Yeah, well, I took like 3 words of notes last time.
Well, that's a compliment in its own way.
Yeah.
I don't understand what Conciliate means when he says that. I thought he wasn't following us.
He? Oh, no, he. What he is saying by that is that you guys need as much of a head start as you can get, and so does he.
Okay, so we need to fucking go.
Yeah, before you are found down here.
I point. Okay, I point to Danny with my pen.
Yes.
I said, Daniel, how long do you want that ladder to be?
Okay. I want the ladder to touch the ground. I want us to be able to climb it from where we are right now. That by the way, that's what I was gonna try to do next. I was gonna see if we could affect the world instead of trying to affect ourselves.
By the way, this is also how it works.
Okay. I think your suggestion is way less dangerous than what I was going to do.
Conciliate tells you that space. He says that's your thoughts are good, but your methods won't work here. Space is one of the highest laws of order. To change it is to change requires being a being of the highest order, or a power of the highest order. All 3 people take the note.
What do you think will happen if I try?
I imagine it won't work. Look, you're better. For now, you're better off looking internally to solve this problem.
Okay.
But you must go now. There's
Okay, I'm cutting to the chase. I want to put
Yes.
my foot down on the like third to highest rung.
Yeah, roll it.
That's real far.
Yeah, that's real far, but you know, we're skipping steps here. That's the point.
I know what I would like to try next, by the way.
All right. I'm trying to. I feel like I'm trying to make my foot connect to this ladder rung.
Sure.
All right, cool. Oh, come on.
Oh man.
Peace.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't have a trampoline in my bag, bro. I'm sorry.
God damn it. 2 ones in a row. God, this is so bad.
You can
This
fiat
is
that
so
if you
bad.
want. You can fiat that if you want.
I can what that if I want?
You can fiat that as in
Keep it for
decide.
later?
No, like say fuck it. Actually,
Oh,
depending on what you think is most interesting.
so from the way you came, you hear footsteps,
Oh shit.
but they don't. It sounds like a marching line, except they don't sound like boots.
What do they sound
Great.
like?
It sounds like a train.
I'm marching.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Okay. Here's what I try, everybody.
No, not Falconelli. God damn it, Conciliette is taking some fucking initiative now.
Okay.
He picks up 2 of you. Which you're closest?
You said I almost ran into him.
Yeah,
so
let's go with
I
let's go with Danny D and Sheila. He picks up both of you, and
Oh god.
he like literally just takes you up to the ladder and puts you on it.
Okay.
Jack, you watch as he just literally just pulls you up there in a single motion, like with his hand, and he like floats up with it. He floats up with the one motion.
Huh.
And when he gets up there, he like puts his feet on the ceiling, and he like lowers them from his perspective and raises them from your perspective, like into the hole and onto the ladder. And then he reaches his hand out down to you at like standing on the roof, and he says, "Come on, Jack. We don't have time anymore."
All right, I take his hand.
Yeah, you jump up, you do a little, you gain a little, you have a little sustained flight, and then you just barely reach his hand, and he pulls you up, and he leaves you with one last, let's see, before he goes off, he tells you this, make sure that Alvis stays safe. That old man has suffered enough.
Yeah.
If
Looks
you
like
make it
it.
out,
And
send us a message.
he adds as he goes away, and watch out for the forgotten one.
What?
You're climbing a ladder.
Yeah.
All right. I'm climbing a ladder, but I am saying, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Sheila, you feel like you know what that means,
Oh.
but you can't remember.
Great. Great.
There you go.
Was that what was?
You're climbing.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
whenever after he calls that up, that sound of a train comes closer, and you see like purple light coming up from below.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like almost a black light.
Yeah.
It's that color.
Hmm.
Anyways, you're climbing.
Can you give me that? He tells us to watch out for what?
The forgotten
Forgotten
one.
One.
The forgotten ones.
Yeah.
Said one.
You said one, yeah.
Said one.
Yeah.
Preserve safety.
Will we ever get another message from user 246B?
I told him, hey man, if you're around, shoot us a message.
Yeah, drop us a line. Don't forget to write.
A command line.
All right. You burst out of the the Trinity Monument. All in kind of a heap and a scramble. The sky's still black.
Everywhere, like as far as we can see.
Yeah, it's like dark clouds.
Do we have like sunlight still permeating through?
There's a gray. What I'll say is there is a like gray haze of light that lets you that can let you tell that it's still daytime. But the sun is definitely lower now.
Okay.
Jack, where's your car?
Right there.
Okay.
Do payphones exist yet?
Yeah.
Probably not here, but
Not here.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
We go. We drive in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you get in
Yeah,
that fucking car.
We get in that car and we get the fuck out of here. I am still going to that reservation.
You start driving down the road in what I imagine is quite a rush.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
You can see the fire from the nearby protest.
Right.
And it is.
I'm not even worried about that. Those guys are. They're taking care of themselves.
No, what I'll say is that it is no longer eerily quiet. Like you come out and you like start your car and you hear a helicopter like swoop overhead.
Right.
Hmm. Shit.
Yeah. No. Floor it. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Anybody care for a banana that's been sitting in a car for a day?
It would be cooked by now.
Yeah.
I want a thing. I want a bit of a thing to happen here. Jack, you're the driver.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. I want you to make a roll for how fast you get the fuck out of here.
All right. I want to separate myself from this situation, I guess.
That's a good way of thinking of it.
And
that.
I definitely feel like with a helicopter in play, I feel like us getting caught is inevitable, but I'm doing it anyway.
You know what? I mean, I'll say that that's fair. But you're starting with disadvantage, so you only get you only go to
that brings
normal.
it up to normal, huh? Okay.
Do you have a special driving skill? Did you write that down ahead of time?
It is in my list of bonus skills. Is drive and minor car maintenance. Those are packaged.
How good do you think you have enough talent at evasion? Have you ever been in a police chase before? You ever successfully evaded the police in a car?
Um, the key to being in a police chase is not to get into an active chase. You are lost if you are in an active chase. You have to dodge their attention. So yes.
Okay. Well,
Channel.
I'll do with all that. I'll give you. You go from you're pretty fucked to you can have advantage, but don't fuck up
Okay.
both of these rolls or it's going to be very bad. You got a one out of
Yeah.
your you guys got 2 ones out of your system already.
Yeah.
Those would have been
Channel.
terrible times to get ones.
Oh yeah.
Channel your inner Vin Diesel, please.
It's about family.
You're also wagering because this is a catalyst roll.
Yeah. All right. Catalyst roll on separation. Let's go. Plus 3. All right. This is a good stack. We gotta.
Okay, so
Wait.
you got you did 2d20 and then it killed both of them, but you got a 14 plus 3.
17.
So you got a 17.
17.
I'll say you make it to the highway.
Okay.
And on the highway, probably about once you start to head south and you're heading back to town, you get stopped at a police checkpoint, which they're seemingly doing for all traffic coming this way.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have anything incriminating on you?
Well, shit.
Like you're pulling up in the road and you see this coming. So
Nothing out. I mean, necessarily.
All
We're
right.
just a
I'm going to
bunch
rely
of
on my
people.
background as a criminal. I have been through checkpoints like this before.
hey Sheila, where did you leave that M16? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh no, that got left with the truck.
Okay. Just checking.
It blew out of her hands, and then she did not
Search
Yeah.
it.
No.
Okay. I'm just checking. You don't have an M16 anymore.
No.
All right. I would like to trace over the knowledge of my life of crime to see how deeply we're going to be searched.
Sure. You can make that roll.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
All right.
I haven't seen it come through yet.
Do I wanna? Nah, I'm rolling it straight. Here we go.
Not bad.
Ooh, not terrible.
All right. Also remember you succeeded that roll before, so take
Yeah,
a point.
I ticked up my my point.
Very good. Yeah. So with a 14, I'll tell you that you know that if they look in your car and they see anything out of the ordinary at all, you're gonna get like fully searched.
Well, shit.
How not like a truck of hippies can you look right now?
Well, I didn't have time to change back into my normal outfit, so I look presentable, kind of. At
Yeah.
least
Despite the sand.
Despite the sand, I look more like a normal person than I usually do.
There are a lot of batteries in the car. Anybody else have anything on their character sheet that they think is incriminating?
Not that would be in like line of sight.
You guys have a lot of guns. Are any of those
I have a,
incriminating?
We have a
I have a single revolver in a bag on the floor by my feet.
How many pipe bombs do you guys still have?
0.
Oh, we spent them all.
Okay, that's probably good.
Yeah, that's really good.
You still have a cattle prod that probably looks like a pipe bomb in the wrong light.
Yeah, I want to stow that under the seat,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah. Actually, I'm gonna tell Sheila to get my license and registration, or my registration out and insurance information out of the glove box, and to stow the cattle prod in the glove box.
Yeah, she starts like breaking it down, like disconnecting the batteries to just like make it fit, and hands you a stack of papers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You also wind up handing me like my driver's manual, the manual that comes with the car, just like fucking everything that's in there.
Uh, there's a baton tapping on your window.
All right. I was gonna say something
Roll the window
to
down, sir.
Danny, but start rolling it down.
License and registration.
It's a crank window.
Yeah, no, they're all crank windows. It's 1980.
Yeah.
That's my
Right.
favorite kind.
Mm-hmm.
Very tactile.
That's the kind that I have. I'm thumbing through the papers I pull out my registration and I dig back for my wallet.
Yeah.
I give like a glance and like a short nod to the officer. Just
He like kind of bends over and he looks. He's got like kind of a scowl on his face from like the, just like like he doesn't want to be doing this right now either.
Sure.
So what are you doing out here, you lot? He says like into the car while you're thumbing through your wallet.
College trip. It's like summer break. We're just going places, taking a tour of the country. See the heartland.
Hiking.
Where are you from?
I'm from Texas originally.
And these rest?
Originally Crystal Falls, Arkansas, but I too live in we live in the same dorm.
Yeah, we're all classmates. We only have one class, so it's easy to fit in a trip. Here you go, officer.
That ID says Jack Fletcher on it, correct?
Yes, it does. I have fake IDs. I gave him my real one in this case.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would like giving him a fake ID. I feel like giving him a fake ID runs the risk of rolling dice badly.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Rest of you got IDs?
Okay, so like, I am not American.
Yeah.
In Trinidad, you have like a national ID.
Yeah.
But I know in America you don't have those.
Yeah, you just have a driver's license.
Yeah,
right.
Danny D does not know how to drive. So...
I don't know how far back in time you would have been issued a student ID, but that is a thing.
Okay, can I show him that?
Yeah, you could show him that.
Okay, cool.
That lends credibility to your story. Sheila, do you have an ID?
Give me a second.
Let's say
Are you looking up on student IDs?
No, she's got some real venom in her heart, but she reaches into her bag and produces her student ID because she's reflecting one of her key personal tenets right now. That being the disdain of unwarranted search and seizure.
Oh yes. Yeah, it looks over your student IDs, looks at your driver's license. He hands it back to you, and he taps on the hood of your car with his baton. And he walks down to the next one.
Okay.
He knows something on a clipboard.
He handed them back,
Yeah,
presumably?
he handed them back. I said he
Okay.
did that. I thought.
Okay.
He notes something, but you are allowed through.
All right.
That, but angrier.
Note something for like a second, or like we're going as soon as he gives us the go ahead.
Yeah, no, you do that.
Okay.
It'd be weird not-
He wrote something short, like a checkbox, or he wrote something like our names.
Like your names.
Okay.
Probably also your license plate.
All right. Cool.
Time to change that shit.
You know, you have to register that with the government. Like changing the license plate isn't gonna help.
All right, guys. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part, which is where I prompt you. You're driving down the road. What do you guys talk about? I'm sure you have plenty to talk about.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of time here where Jack is processing, like, and you do hear me say, "We got fucking nuked today," right?
Something parallel to it.
Are we okay? Like, is there any like side effect that might happen? Anything
Yeah.
like that?
I reach back and just pinch Danny.
It
like
worked.
a pinch me to wake up kind of pinch.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sheila, you feel like there's some lingering effect that you can't quite place.
I check like my eyes and like I pull down the visor and like look in the mirror and like check my pupils.
They're still a little dilated.
Yeah.
What does that picture with me and Eugene look like?
It looks like the scene as it was described.
Okay.
It's you two standing in a tunnel, with the others in the background.
Yo, fans, we need fan art of literally all of these pronto. Those stick.
Hmm.
Sheila, you feel like something's missing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you want to try and connect to it?
I think she stays quiet about it.
Well, I asked you what you guys are talking about. So if you're staying quiet about that, what are you talking about?
When we get back, we need to ask Albus what's really going on.
Yeah, no kidding.
And if it's, whether it's
Vulcan too, while we're at it, because he pivoted to Fulcanelli later, but he did say Vulcan at first.
I wonder how much of it is serendipity, coincidence.
But I mean, how common is Vulcan of a name, really? Like, maybe it's his dad?
I'm attempting to, we need to talk to Albus first. Gain context. Yeah. And then we can speak to Vulcan. I'm starting to craft a line of inquiry that I think will be effective.
Uh-huh.
In terms of delving into what may be a red herring in this whole thing.
And like, we all agree that Vulcan's a weirdo, right? Like, not as much of a weirdo as Albus, but like waking us up to come to class is weird, right?
Very weird.
I think they both know way more than they're saying. Obviously.
Why?
Did Elvis know that we were going to get nuked today?
That's a good question.
Maybe he hoped we'd stop it.
Well, yeah, like he sent us on the. He was on board with us going. He could have warned us. After today, nothing is off the table. Like, are fairies real? What?
I think Philo laughed at that.
I think on that question, we cut to a scene that I, believe it or not, I swear to God, I had this one planned out. It's in my goddamn notes. You come back and it's like late. It's like late in the night. And you pull up to campus. You can see that the light is still on in like Alvis's room, like since he lives there.
Yeah.
Also,
Has the snow all melted yet?
is what?
The snow all melted?
Yeah, the snow's all melted.
Okay.
After you got, a few miles, like several miles down the road, you got to the edge of weird black clouds.
Yeah.
They started to thunder, like in your rear view window after you left. But,
yeah, that'll come up in our discussion. Like, so we all know about Fallout. What the hell is gonna be in that rain? I'm glad we're not there. Sucks to be those Indians.
yeah. Anyways,
Natives.
you pull up.
Jack watched a lot of westerns as a kid. He doesn't know better.
No, Sheila corrects him.
Oh, great.
They're not from India.
Jack rolls his eyes.
Anyways, we pull up, and you guys, without you, like, I imagine you're not in the mood to knock, so you just like enter into his lab.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there with like a lamp, like a desk lamp over him, and he's reading a book where the front cover of it just says gnomes.
Let's fucking go.
That's the book he's reading. He's just reading gnomes.
Okay.
Which is a real book. Anyways.
Put on the list.
You can put it on the list, sure. It's harder to find a PDF of, but you can.
So I just Kramer into the room and I'm like, hey, we got nuked today. A nuclear weapon went off 200 feet above our heads.
He starts it, he goes, and then he like looks at you like top to bottom, back to top, and he's like, I don't think so. You look fine.
Sheila,
I assure you, man, I am not fine.
The object was publicly recorded as a nuke, but obviously we're...
Yeah, I heard on the news that they canceled it. They canceled the launch because of bad weather or something.
Oh no, very much not.
The bad weather was part of the explosion. It took the color from the world and it opened a black hole, and it was a gateway, and we walked through it through a train station, and it was real spooky down there. Listen.
He holds his hand, his head in his chin, and he goes, and he flips through the book titled Gnomes a little bit. He's like, that's not quite what this says. And he closes it and he puts it on his desk.
I try to go and flip to the part where he was looking at, because I'm like so not having it.
Sheila holds up a chair like across from him and like sits down in it.
Yeah, you're like across a science table.
Yeah.
In like a science lab. Yeah, you flip to the part that he was looking at. There's a part about there's a part about gnomes controlling the weather
Mm.
with
Okay.
like funny fey magic.
Yeah.
This book is strange. You flip through it just like a little bit, and it looks like it's like half short stories and half like the biology of a gnome.
Yeah.
Man.
For the record, a garden gnome is not a thing in 1980. But
Right.
that's what these gnomes look like. They look like that. But there's like diagrams of like their internal structures in here.
Mm.
It's pretty weird. It's like those for a modern equivalent, it's those funny pictures of Pokemon guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, but for weird fey creatures.
Or like an
Primarily.
X-ray of like a creeper.
Yes, indeed. You guys have been gnomed.
Yeah. I yeah.
You pull up in
I
front
guess
of it.
yeah, and I'd say we met user 246B at the rally.
Oh, good. How was he?
Strange.
Conciliette says hi.
He
Had-
looks mildly puzzled at your statement.
Do you know Eugene Conciliate?
He knows you.
No, I don't really associate with Frenchmen anymore.
Hmm.
Name doesn't ring any bells.
And yet you trusted him as a contact.
He used
Well,
to run with a guy named Fulcanelli. Do you know anything about Fulcanelli?
he
There's a build up to these things.
he like almost winces at the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something. That's something right there. You got
Yeah.
anything about in this book? Like I closed the book. You got anything in here about like invincible soldier like soldiers with metal skeletons and oil for blood?
Okay, when you say that, he goes from like having a headache, an apparent headache, to like now like his face is in both of his hands and he's like clutching his head. And he starts to like moan.
I go to like stand and like put a hand on his shoulder.
Make a connection roll.
Okay. Great.
Hey, did you revise your catalyst?
Me?
Yeah.
No, my catalyst is great.
Okay.
My
Oh,
catalyst.
it was Danny who was
Yeah.
gonna revise his catalyst, maybe.
Yes, and he did.
Okay.
That's an 11.
Okay. So here's what you see. You touch his shoulder, and like, you know how static electricity like builds up, and when you touch something, it just shocks you, but just for an instant. Like the feeling of it lingers longer than the actual sensation.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you touch him, you feel like you're standing in a burning junkyard and you see a vision of it for just like a single frame. And then like and then it's gone. You like pull your hand back a little bit.
Yeah, no, she pulls back. Oh shit. Okay, let me note all that down.
He stands up. His head is still in his hands. He like knocks his chair over.
Professor, you please. Jack.
We haven't even gotten started, man. What do you want?
The man's not well. There's obviously some sort of
He
I'm not well.
here's what he does. He goes over to like a sink and he like turns it on and he just like puts his head underneath it.
Whoa.
And like it like soaks into his like white hair, and
Yeah.
it's like clinging to his face. Um,
Yeah.
Worrying to you, it's kind of hard to tell because he's like kind of wandered away from the one light in the room. It looks like his head is bleeding.
Ooh.
There's a little bit of blood mixed in to like that is like streaking through his hair. He comes up after a few seconds, apparently like calmed down.
I look to his head, like what's going on there?
Uh, yeah, it's hard to tell because he's got hair. Like, do you walk up
Yeah.
and like grab his head and like pick through it?
No, I'm not gonna do that, but
Okay. Yeah, it looks like maybe like the side of his head was bleeding like just a little bit.
hmm.
So that like just a little streak of his white hair is orange.
Huh.
He wipes it back a little bit and like rips a paper towel and like starts to dry himself off.
Professor, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just getting older.
No.
Now, did you guys
She-
you guys got pictures, right?
So many.
Yes.
Okay, good. Did you get you got a
Danny?
and it sounds like you got a hell of a story.
I don't. Are you, Ricardo? You muted.
You hate to see it. We also have a sample of that oil.
Yeah. Just.
Someone pick a lane.
I
Continue, Sheila.
I just don't want you to. I want you to.
You guys might want to huddle.
Yeah, I'd say I don't want to overwhelm him again. If least he's not going to be able to retain the story if he falls in this fugue state whenever we try to tell it to him. What happens if he tries to read it? Well, I think he'll just shut down again. Like even if we wrote it down.
Look, we got to be able to get something out of the guy. If he doesn't know anything, he used to.
Maybe he's a slow burn. You know. I think I like Sheila's plan.
All right.
Proceed with your plan.
I did.
Fine.
Okay. I mean, in Sheila's head now. I mean, I don't know. Okay, from her point of view.
Yeah, while you guys are huddled, he gets some aspirin out of a random desk cabinet, and he like
Yeah.
fills a beaker with water, and then he starts like drinking it.
Like this is a dead end until we can somehow like break this psychosis.
Well, we could ask him vaguely. Hey, Doc.
Yeah, I'm all right.
This job we just went on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said
Do you know?
hands earlier. Remember, he's only got one hand.
Yeah.
He got a metal claw to his head.
Right.
Okay. Doc, this job that we just went on, do you know more about that than you told us?
What do you mean?
I don't know. We came out of that with a lot of questions. And like we met some people who know you.
Okay.
No.
Huh. Well, I'm pretty famous around here.
Yeah. What for again?
Well, I'm quite and he like holds up his arm, his like prosthetic. Prosthetic has like 3 articulated fingers, like 2 and a thumb.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, I was the real sharpest knife in the drawer back in the day. I remember I used to pal around with all the greats.
Like who?
Yeah, like who? I love that we were on the same page there. I would like it if in canon we said that at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, oh, I used to know. Let's see. Well, I hate to name drop, but I used to know. I met Einstein. We were friends. We'd get coffee on Sundays sometimes. He was a cool guy. I really liked him. Fermi, fucking asshole. And he like scratches his head a little bit with his claw. He's like, yeah, those were some good days.
Well, tell you what, we can whip together a write up of what happened and give it to you to post to the forum, but we might want a day or two off. We had to deal with the police.
Oh yeah. Well, I imagine Jack's adept at that. He laughs at his own joke in a way that is kind of uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It's high pitched and a little annoying, and I'm not going to mimic it.
Yeah, you got that right. Like Jack is now resigned and playing along, but just sort of off in his own world for a minute.
You said the bomb went
Hey,
off, but you're not dead. So was it a dud or something?
It was.
Were they just too embarrassed to admit that on the news?
I think it's some
They-
kind of experimental new device, or if not new, then
we never heard of it. It did
yes.
it exploded all right, but it didn't look like any explosion I've ever seen.
No burns, no marks. There's a lot
Again,
of
it was
forms, but
Danny, you got the pictures of the thing?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. If you hand them to me or whatever, I try to like convey to you just the big bomb.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you show it to him, and he's like, "Oh wow, these are some crazy pictures."
Yeah.
You guys must have really marched on the Capitol right there.
Oh yeah, that was super illegal.
Nice.
By the way, it had Last Light 386 on it. It was
Hmm. Yeah, he doesn't do any of that. That doesn't cause a reaction from him. He's like,
okay.
huh.
I pull back.
There's definitely a moment of you leaning back like, ugh.
I don't. Oh, good.
But
safe.
he's like, okay. It's a weird name.
Yeah.
But, these intellectual types, they tend to just come up with something vaguely cool sounding.
Yeah.
That number's a little worrying though.
Why?
You don't we thought so too.
Well, let's see. 386. And he like taps his hand on his metal hand as like a fidget.
Is that something you know? Is that some kind of like chemistry thing?
He like there's a periodic table like on the wall, and he's like, huh. I mean, yeah, he's like, okay. He's looking at it and he's like, no, it's not. It's probably not any of that. It's not strontium. Wait, 6. And he like starts doing what looks like nonsense math on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huh. After a couple minutes, of like filling half of an entire chalkboard,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, I got nothing. Oh, it's probably some. And he's like, oh, hold on, wait. And then he like rifles through all the desks on his desk, and he's like, no, not here. And then he goes like to a very back corner and he opens one up and he pulls out a Bible.
Ah.
And he's like, and he like flips through a few chapters. And he's like, nah, I don't get it. And he just puts it back. He just like slams it back into the drawer and closes it with no regard. I think, you know what? He slams it down with like spine open.
Okay.
That's how much that's how disregardless he is.
The blast was white initially, right? Or like it was bright at first before it was dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Danny, are you gonna give him that sample?
So when we kill one of those, have the sample.
He like
Would you
cocks
like to
his head
analyze it?
at kill.
It was at the bomb site. We found the substance.
Oh. He
Do you think you could tell us what's in it?
He takes it. He takes the vial. He uncorks it, presumably, whatever it is. He uncorks it.
It's in like a empty what's it called? Like
Film
like
canister.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he pops it open and he smells it. And he's like, okay. He he just like dips his tongue in it just a little bit. And then he spits it out. And he's like, hold on. And he takes a little bit of it and he like puts it on he like dips a towel into it. Like a paper towel. And then he goes over to a Bunsen burner and he turns it on.
Yeah.
And he holds the dry part of the paper towel to it and it like it burns like slowly. And then he holds the other part up to it and it goes and it like all catches on fire like instantly and it has like a sustained burn before it gets down to the paper. And he's like, yeah, that's diesel.
Huh.
It's pretty dirty though. I think it's mixed in with a lot of car oil.
Yeah, you got something to like, because this came out of like an animal. I'm just straight lying now. This came out of an animal.
Animal? Like what animal?
Yeah.
I think there's just
We couldn't tell.
Was it a gnome?
Nothing I've ever seen. Well,
it vaguely
maybe.
resembled a gnome in shape and structure.
Check through that book. See if you spot it.
Oh my god, wife is actually there. Holy shit.
All right, so now I'm looking at the book for real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you like, I don't know, if it's mixed up, can you separate it or something?
You mean the oil?
Figure out what figure out what the stuff in it is. Is it definitely oil? Because again, it came out of an animal, and that's really weird.
He says, I'll run some tests on it and I'll get back to you. Let's see. me get. Can I get? All right, high resolution. Very. Yeah, you flip through. Yeah, you flip through this book. There's just pictures of gnomes and like little like goblin fae.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Occasionally there's like wasp like fairies. I'll put the cover of the book in. Here you go. It's in club activities now. That's the real
Cool.
cover of the book.
Oh my
Watch
god.
this become the thumbnail.
Know me. This is so fucking funny.
Yeah, you
I
don't.
can't believe you researched fucking gnome lore for this fucking game.
No, the reading list is long and weird.
All right.
I think Albus might be a dead end at this point. Until we
He's
can...
not a dead end, but how much shit do we want to start?
If we keep, I feel like he'll break if we keep fucking trying to like push the boundary.
Yeah. At what point does that become worth it? But this is a conversation for us to have in character later or something, or at least to have happened in character later.
Sure. We can break from the scene real quick.
A parting thought. But I'm definitely going to ask Alvis. You ever do DMT?
Wow.
All right. So he says, "Well, I'll run some tests on this in the morning. I'm pretty tired. You guys are probably tired too. You should go back to your rooms and go to sleep for once."
I got bombed today. I may never sleep again.
It's been 2 days. Not 2 days. It's been a
Okay.
night. You spent a night on the road. How you spent it,
Right.
up to viewer imagination, but you got back the next night.
Haunted. The answer is haunted.
Yeah, above the earth, haunted indeed.
Mhm.
Yeah, he says, yeah, go back to your rooms, get some actual sleep, and no more cocaine. I've had enough bullshit this summer.
Yeah. I promise you, no more cocaine.
Yeah, sleep won't kill you. And on that, we'll let you cut away to your rooms. He reaches into one of his desk drawers and he takes out a funny little sleeping cap and he puts it on. And he takes his gnome book and he hobbles into his back room.
Yeah.
If it is pointed on the end, I make a comment about the point being like, if it's the traditional sleeping cap, I make a point of pointing out that it's kind of gnome-like.
Yeah. It's like blue, light blue with white spots.
Carter, you're still muted.
Sorry, I mute so you don't get crunching. How tall is Alvis, by the way?
He's pretty short. He's quite hunched over.
We don't like that. Man, now it's like, oh, oh, it used to be you're too tall, but now it's like you got a little short. You got a little short.
Excuse me. Are you a fucking gnome?
Yeah.
You guys break out. You go out of that room and maybe you drag your stuff to the upstairs.
Yeah.
And you're in your break room that is right outside your dorms.
Yeah, we'd probably have that conversation. Those thoughts we had of just like, is it a lost cause? No. How much do we press? Yada yada.
I can't believe I cracked a joke about fairies being real, and then we wound up here.
It's quite entertaining. You have a knack for these things, Jack.
Yeah.
He became like catatonic.
Yeah. Honestly, it reminded me of some of the moments with my dad.
Oh.
I mean, it was never that bad or anything, but
Neither was mine.
he's definitely seen something.
You know.
Like, I like the guy and everything. All right, just hear me out. One of these days, we're gonna want to push that.
It seems, and like Sheila's gonna try to push on that spot in her brain where she feels like something is missing.
Okay.
Whether or not you want that to be mechanical is neither here nor there. Like, you want that to be mechanical, say so. But if not, it's
I don't
just
think it's mechanical at this moment.
okay. Yeah. She says I think it's, and she like has that moment, and then she says, I think it's psychological, which leads us to,
What the hell is the forgotten one?
oh, that's a great question.
Is it that?
Pointing.
I'm just gesturing at down the hall to where we came back to our rooms from Alvis's
I don't know.
office.
It feels familiar. I don't know. Again, it's if these problems are psychological, then I think we have we already did. We already have a pretty clear target of further inquiry.
Yeah. And all right, I know how it looks about how things are going to happen, but I just want us to remember that that's an option, is pushing on him about it.
I wouldn't want to hurt him.
Like, we're in some really serious shit. If it's the apocalypse, I don't know. Just I don't really want to hurt anybody either. Not anybody who's, real.
If we push too hard and he breaks, it's lost forever.
It sounds like it's already lost forever, but sure.
Again, there's vectors, there's avenues. And then
Okay.
hey host.
Yep.
When's our next psychology class?
It's tomorrow morning.
Oh, great! How convenient.
Yeah, because the test was on Saturday, the bomb
Yeah.
test on Saturday. That night you drove. And you drove all day that day, which was Sunday.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, you have one more day because it's on Tuesday, and tomorrow will be Monday.
Okay. What time is it?
It's probably midnight.
Do we have a phone?
Sure. There's a phone in the building. Power's back on.
Do we have our teacher's phone number for in case of like emergency or special contact?
You'd have an office number, maybe. Not that he's probably at his office during summer.
No. Okay. That was my thought.
You might
I'd
be
like
able
to
to
call
go
him.
ask someone for it.
But or like
to,
check a directory maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be about all
I'd
I
like-
could imagine.
I mean, he's in the phone book.
Yeah. Vulcan Gray is a pretty distinct name.
Indeed.
Something I'd like to bring up is that British guy that was with Eugene with
Yeah.
Conciliette. He's also like another avenue we could walk down
Sure,
in case
sure.
of anything. I
Did that
don't
guy
think
have a
he.
name?
I don't. Let me check. Let me check my notes. I don't think we got a name for him. No.
I don't believe we were given one.
Yeah. That's a dead end.
Yeah. I don't know. We could try to figure something out. With that.
Neil comes out of his room. He's in his
Friggin'
pajamas.
Neil.
All three of us just like eyes shoot over to him, probably just like
He,
are
like
you
a
doing?
deer in the headlights, like stares back at you, and he closes his door.
Sorry.
I call through the door. Yeah, that's probably smart. We were right next to a nuclear explosion like 2 days ago.
You hear the door lock.
Neil.
All right, you guys going to sleep?
Yeah.
Not before writing the high I'm going on and just like breaking down some notes, but eventually, yeah.
Oh, you are not on a high. You're on a low. You are dead.
I mean, I guess so.
You're writing that like up until you basically started talking to Alvis, and then it just
You ever drive across Texas? It sucks.
oh yeah, it's
I know,
terrible.
but yeah,
Imagine driving across Texas not knowing if you're dying of radiation.
terrible.
You go to sleep.
God, what the
I
fuck are we
wanna-
doing there?
I want to say that Danny D falls asleep looking at all the pictures that he took.
Mm-hmm. All right. You wake up the next day. Who does anyone have anything they want to do today, or does anybody want to rest? Call it a rest day. Call it a weekend.
DMT.
Are you gonna go look for DMT?
Yeah, I didn't push it because of the checkpoint and everything, but that is Jack's current mission.
All right. You know what? We can have a little. We're in some downtime, guys. So if you want to have a little individual side quest like this one, feel free to think it up. Jack, how easy do you think it would be for you to get DMT? I imagine it'd be pretty easy with your various channels, but maybe not on such short notice.
Yeah, I don't think it's a short notice type of thing. We could maybe roll for it and see if there's anything like to see what kind of timeline it would be available on. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just figure out the logistics. You're gonna start a 6-step clock about getting DMT.
Yeah. What I'll say is that
Clocks.
you won't have you call some people, you put in the order. Are you asking for a personal amount, or are you asking for like an amount that you would like deal or whatever?
I want the amount to deal to be on the table, but right now I'm sampling the merchandise. I want to know what it is that I'm selling.
Okay.
That's what I say to the guy. I do not actually like whether or not I sell it depends entirely on what is going to happen here.
Okay. Yeah, so you spend your day, you go off and you do a cast drop in one spot, and then Um, and you know that in about, in like a week's time, there's gonna be a different drop at a specific time in a specific place, and you'll go there and get it and that'll be your sample. And then you'll be able to get a follow-up amount for a lot more money with it's like a down payment. You get a follow-up for a lot more money like in the next day.
Well, while you wait, you always have some soothing chamomile tea.
You know what? Sure. I think I'm done with uppers for a while.
Danny D and Sheila, do you have anything that you want to do in this nice restful day? Because Alvis is going to want to talk to you about what happened, but
oh shit.
Danny D wants
we don't
to go on a
necessarily
hike.
have to go into detail about that. You can just say that you don't really tell him anymore.
Right. Yeah, we'll flesh out the story of, we raided a base. We thought it was a bomb. It was actually some other strange, like, unknown device. We, knocked over their camera.
We knocked over their camera is a bad thing to put in the report that we are putting publicly on the zine.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think we ought to. All right, I hate to be this guy. I think we ought to lie and say that we were watching it from like the dunes or something. You know?
Yeah. This is a conversation with Alvis not in the room, obviously.
Yeah, as a long, thoughtful sip of tea. No, that's wise.
Because if they know that
are you guys already going to contradict?
Compromise
your journalistic integrity?
We could be vague.
I mean, I don't know. They want our lives.
We got really close.
We'll tell the truth when the time has come. But for now, we need to learn more.
You can't tell the truth if you're dead.
Precisely.
Yeah, no kidding.
So do you make up a story?
We give... We recount the situation without saying that we snuck onto a base, we tried to shoot a bomb out of the air.
Yeah.
We describe... Okay, we talk about the fact that no, we'll say that, we'll talk about the protest, talk about how, a bunch of people were there. That, a fire was started and shots were exchanged.
Are we really gonna do the protest turned violent? Is that what we're doing?
No, the protest didn't turn violent. No, that's not what we do. We do... The situation escalated. It would be, it would be irresponsible to presume one way or the other, but,
I don't know. Like, it's smart to keep ourselves safe and everything, but I don't want to cut it down that much. Like, we shouldn't sound like G-men.
We don't really know what happened. We don't want to lie just because we feel it's honorable to say it. sometimes the truth isn't honorable.
Yeah. Bullshit.
All right.
Booze into the chamomile tea,
Yeah.
but out of a flask.
Uh-huh.
Man, oh,
Heavy episode of Command Line, everybody. Danny D, what are you up to on this fine one day?
Danny D would like to go for a hike. He would like to, go to a high altitude to refresh his mind, get him straight.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely got to be some nature trails out there in the desert. I don't know how many mountains you're gonna find.
All right, wait. We're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Does Texas not have?
There's nature trails and stuff like that, but there's not vertical anything.
You might find like hills or bluffs, But
Yeah, you could maybe find hills. We're in I'm at University of Austin, right? I didn't spend a lot of time in Austin. My vague recollection of it would be that it is pretty flat.
Yeah.
Because most of Texas is extremely flat.
Mm-hmm. On a hike.
Hike still.
I mean, I think there's something that oh man, what do I choose here for my day? How do I spend my day? I want to spend my day doing some research.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try and find that book.
You were trying to get DMT.
Yeah. How much time does that take?
That's true. There is that book. That Tarbuck, thank you.
That's probably gonna take. I'm gonna say that's gonna take your time off.
Okay.
Get one time off thing.
All right.
Yeah, I am gonna try to investigate where I can find and read the Kabbalion.
All right. Where do you pursue such a thing? Entirely up to you.
Could I go to? I'm trying to think, because we just have like a library at the school.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's like a better place to look.
There's
Maybe.
a lot of New Age bookstores in this time period.
Yeah, like something like a New Age bookstore, but also maybe something like I want like something in between like a New Age bookstore and like an antiquarian. I don't know, like that's where my heart lies, like because it's old and weird and lost, but also it's like obviously not mainstream.
All right. So you're gonna go search it out.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's gonna be a connection roll. You're going to
Great.
be.
I'm good at
You're gonna have disadvantage on that, my guy.
that. Oh.
What's your catalyst again?
Put the truth above your own safety.
Okay.
It feels unsafe to be going around door to door asking about this piece of probably very protected knowledge.
Depends on where you're going to look.
I'll go anywhere. Like I'm asking anyone who I think may have any idea.
Yeah, you're going to like
Bookstores,
antique stores,
museums, right? Antique stores.
Mm-hmm.
Library, like general libraries,
Pawn shops.
pawn shops.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, roll disadvantage.
You're not letting me? Okay.
No, you don't even have a car.
Well, you didn't make it dangerous.
I was trying to.
Oh yeah.
So that's an 11.
Oh, you got an 11. Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah, you don't find it. Come on. So that's just a straight 6.
It's an 11. I forgot to add my +5 to connect.
Okay. Yeah, that's not enough. You do not find the
Tell me
book.
what happens. I mean, do you not have any narration for me?
You take a bus into town and you shop around antique stores and like thrift places and like old
And
bookstores.
libraries and museums.
Um
As
yeah.
many of those I can find. There's probably far less, but
Yeah, I don't think you'd find any trace of it.
okay.
Um
Okay.
Maybe not in Texas, but be somewhere else.
For the first time, I have double underlined and circled something in red in my notes.
Yeah. Is that just the title
Which
of
is
the book?
yeah.
All right. All right. Your day does not bear fruit. Danny D, are you trying to find anything when you're out here on this nature trail, or are you just trying to get away from everything?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get away from everything.
All right. You go on a restorative hike. Heal any damage you might have if you didn't already. All right. Y'all make your rounds, and you regroup and rest up for the coming day.
I have a plan
Oh,
for
okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jack, Daniel, and I, we, this is me and character saying, we are going to arrive at Professor Vulcan's classroom early before he gets there, and we will be prepared for him.
Okay. What does that mean? Does that
Feisty.
Now we're definitely prepared for him because we all read that book.
Yeah.
We all actually did the homework.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so you wake up. Your class normally starts at 8:30, I believe. 8:30 or 7:30. One of those.
8:30.
8:30? Okay.
Yeah. 7:30 would be fucking ridiculous.
You never know. Yeah, so you all show up there at like what, 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I'll say. I'll just narrate this, and you can tell me what you did in the meanwhile.
Mhm.
You are waiting in the room, and
How many doors are in this room?
there's one entrance and exit, and you're on the 3rd floor of a building.
Okay. Is it like presumably on like the far back away from like the blackboard?
There's a blackboard on one wall, and then windows on one wall, and on
Okay.
the opposite side of the windows is a door that comes in. It comes in at the front of the room near the blackboard.
Okay.
That's the only door.
Yeah,
Is that not like a safety violation?
it's the old building.
It's the 80s.
Okay.
Building was built in 1906, I think.
Daniel, do you feel comfortable taking a seat next to the door? Not necessarily right next to it, but somewhere in close proximity.
I got you.
Are you, so, so
I see what
your
you're doing.
teacher opens the door. What does he
Okay.
see? Please tell me.
He sees Danny there, probably like off to his left. I don't know. That's up to you.
Yeah.
You have a look over your own character.
Sure.
Jack, his mission, if he chooses to accept it, is to be standing next to the teacher's desk, with his finger on the record button of a cassette player, that has a new blank tape in it.
Okay.
That
Mhm.
if his mission, if you choose to accept it, is to press record the second that man walks into the room.
Okay. What's Sheila doing?
She's sitting at his desk. And she has the Carl Jung book just like there on the table.
Yeah, he comes in. It's at about 8:15.
Mhm.
I'll say you have like a couple minutes of heads up because you can see him walk up to the building through the windows.
Right.
All right.
Come inside.
Jack thinks that that's really cringy and is still going to hit record on a cassette recorder, but
Yeah.
like from one of the normal ass desks.
Okay. That works. That works.
Is Sheila still sitting at that desk?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Has he fully walked in the room yet?
You know, he walks in and he says, "Oh, good morning. I
Morning,
haven't even
Professor.
gotten to run the pot yet."
Was that heard?
She
Yeah,
Was
we're ahead of
that
you on that.
audible?
yeah
Cool.
like holds up a glass to him.
I think we all know what I did, by the way. I just closed the door and locked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Menacing.
You got any for me? He says, pointing to your coffee.
Sure. And she, she's made a pot.
He makes a mildly concerned bit of eye contact with each of you one by one. First Sheila, who I imagine doesn't even flinch.
No. I've been sitting like this for a reason, so you can't see what my eyes are like through the
glare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he pans from Sheila
and McNuss's tech
to Jack. What's he get from Jack?
Jack looks kind like he thinks that what the other two are doing is silly.
Okay.
And like
you put him at ease a little bit.
Okay. Like but I feel like we're playing cop the way that like a 5-year-old would.
Yeah. He walks over. Did you say yes to? Do you have any for me?
Yeah.
Is there a cup?
No, she'll pour me a cup.
Okay, yeah. There's the pot in here. Then got it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were really prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. He puts his bag on his desk. He doesn't comment on the fact that you're sitting in it.
Yeah.
He just like he pulls a mug out of his bag and he pulls the book, The Unknown Self, out. His copy. He's got a nice hardback.
It was a very interesting read.
Seems like you all really took to it.
Yeah.
Multiple elements of it have been highly relevant to our lives in the past week. And
that's understating it.
It's inspired me to run a bit of an experiment. Not an experiment, a bit of a inquiry.
He pours himself a mug and he like stands at his own podium. He notably doesn't drink from the mug. He turns to face you and he says, So, are you guys communist, or do you think I'm a communist? Because I'm a little lost here.
No, no, no. This is a little more
Communists or authoritarians. A
a
thing
little
that
more.
Jack believes.
This is going to be a little more conceptual than that. This is more of a exercise to see if I'm putting together your lessons. If we all are putting together your lessons properly.
Okay.
I get up and make myself a cup of coffee.
I want you to know,
And
Professor Vulcan, that I don't mean to jeopardize your integrity as an educator in any way through this process. But I'm going to say some terms, and I need you to respond to me with the first thing that comes into your head when I say them.
This is how Danny is sitting, by the way.
Does Jack take a drink from his coffee?
Long
sip.
He takes a small sip from his.
Yeah. Does he respond to my statement?
Yeah, that's his response to your statement. He is watching you like a hawk at this point. Well, not like a hawk, like an animal for sure.
Yeah.
Of
Item
some
number
variant.
1. And she stands up, she goes over to the blackboard, she draws a bullet point, and she writes out pretty quickly and then underlines as she turns and says, the subway.
Like New York?
Anything else?
He is nearly laughing now, and he looks over to Jack.
Yeah.
this is diegetic.
That diffuses his tension a little bit, and he's like, I think they got those in London too.
She nods, thinking, turns to the blackboard again, writes, big bullet point, underlines it. Alchemy.
You do any extra reading?
Yeah, you could call it that.
More like extracurricular activity. You know what Alpha puts us up to.
I really don't. I really have like no idea.
He sounds kind of different.
Sorry, that was me finding the voice.
Mm-hmm.
The voice is
okay, so
back down here.
You know, Alvis puts us up to peculiar tasks.
Yeah, reading something about gnomes when I walked past them.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people reading that book recently. Seems like a real trap for people like him.
When you say a lot of people, how many would you define as a lot?
I think I saw it was in the new books section at the library a couple months ago. Like it got a whole shelf.
What makes you ask if we were doing extra reading?
Well, I say that because there's a different Jung book, and then he like taps his chin as I look at as I look up something. Yeah, there's a different Carl Jung book which does mention like older alchemy. I think it's called Ion. I haven't actually read that one myself, but I've heard a little bit about it. You know, back when I was a student like you guys.
Very well. Third bullet point. Underline. Trinity site.
Like the nuclear site? Or do you mean like the crucifixion?
Interesting response.
Get to the point, Columbo.
Yeah, I'm really wondering
You
what
like the layers that you over glasses.
Yeah, I'm really wondering like what connects these three things, and I'm trying to think about it.
You as the DM, or
No, that was in character.
okay.
I'm trying to have them have a different voice.
I see.
But it's subtle.
Number 4, prophecy.
You see, now I get the Trinity and the prophecy. That makes sense. The subway, you're throwing me off there. I think I need to like ignore that one.
They may be correlated, they may not.
I guess we have 15 extra minutes. You did come early, so you can do an ink block test. Okay, read off all for me again.
Number 1 is the subway.
Subway.
Number 2 is alchemy.
Alchemy.
3 is the Trinity site. 4 is prophecy.
4 is prophecy. What does he say? Okay, now I think I got a better guess. I think you might have read wait, did you read another Carl Jung book? Is that what happened?
I'm simply inquiring.
Well, yeah, I know he wrote a book about Jesus that I found it's like a small pamphlet. I mean, I could assign it as extra reading if you want to talk about it next week, or did everyone already read it?
Nah, it's been a full week. I kind of just read the one.
Okay.
We are... Look, I'm just going to cut to the chase. We are looking for a book called The Kabbalion.
That sounds familiar for some reason. I think I saw that in the library. That's in Alvis's like weird section.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly didn't think to check the library because it sounded like it wouldn't be there, you know. But trust Alvis to.
I mean, it might not still be there. I know that he had some real beef with the librarian, the old head librarian lady. She's been gone for a while now, but I know that she kept trying to. They had like a war over the science section. Kept trying to put stuff in that wasn't academic
science
material. Yeah. I don't want to downplay. I don't want to down on him too hard. He seems like a real crack of a
guy
whip.
who would read a book about gnomes. He seems like a guy who would read a book about gnomes.
Yeah, I think he put that in there too.
Uh-huh.
Oh
man.
Is gnomes the 5th bullet point? He says before you write it.
She just like pauses as she's finishing writing the H in nothing.
You write nothing.
Yes, I write the word nothing.
I guess it's ironic that I have anything to say about nothing at all. What would I have to say about nothing? I guess nothing is like the zero concept, but for it's more of it's a philosophical version of the concept of zero.
Yeah.
Well said.
I don't know if you know this, Sheila, but zero wasn't invented until just a few hundred years ago.
Wait, what? All right.
Well, I guess it wasn't invented. They discovered it.
I like that.
This will be my last bullet point.
You guys know where Neil is?
Probably
I think he's
in his room.
kind of scared.
Yeah, if he doesn't show up today, I'm just gonna mark him as dropped from the class.
She writes on the board and underlines a 6th bullet point. Anti-nothing.
Okay, well, this one, I think it's ironic because I have nothing to say about it.
No speculation.
No, you're losing me now. You might as well write gnomes next.
I think she genuinely laughs at that. And she, puts the chalk back down on the desk and grabs her book off the table and her mug and goes over and takes her seat in the bleachers a few over from Jack. Says, "Thank you for entertaining us, Professor."
Well, you made coffee for me, so fair trade, I guess. And he like gets an eraser and he starts like wiping the board clean. And he's like,
Sheila's giving big eyes to both the boys.
I'm rolling my eyes at Sheila.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you, Daniel.
well, I hate to steal your thunder, but I think now is about as time as any to start talking about our reading, which I guess you all did quite emphatically.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I unlock the door.
Yeah. Thank you.
He tries to ignore the fact that he didn't realize it was locked. So what did you guys think of the reading?
I think we're 2 for 2 on guys who think that the people who have the real truth of the world is people in their exact field. That was kind of funny to see. That's not my whole bit about the book.
Yeah.
I really respect that he's got such a bone to pick with people who would depersonalize themselves in the machine. I like the focus on the individual as like the real unit of society.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting contrast between Socrates, who existed in a time where a large city was still like almost a knowable amount, and that was like the largest that they imagine in the Republic is a city. They don't imagine a country. They don't have that as a concept yet. They have nothing past a city state. But nowadays, with the advent of full countries with unified borders and citizenship, they have there's a response to that depersonalization over time.
Mm-hmm.
I find this assertion strikingly accurate.
Which ones in particular, Sheila? You seem hit the hardest by this.
How there's an undervaluing and a obfuscation of a genuine faith that is warped and transformed into a faith in your place in the machine. And then she sits there and she thinks for a second. And she says out loud, kind of to herself, like a cog.
Yeah, there's a big focus on, not shrinking the individual's influence down to just what they're politically set to affect. Like, we're all citizens here, I think, but I'm pretty sure you're all still allowed to vote. I mean, I don't know about Jack.
Mhm.
No judgment.
Hey, you'll see me in the booth at every election.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, I guess.
Yeah, but that's a very small amount of power relative to the people in charge. But it's important not to remember that that's not the extent of our influence. Danny, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yes, I think his observation are correct in that the individualization of the people is gone in favor of a more homogenous a homogenous whole, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his reason I think he fails to understand that this is because of the alien influence on our people. I think he's failing to realize that uh like aliens aren't individualized in the same way that people are. You know,
Yeah.
they have more so of like a hive mind, like
He
like
makes eye
common
contact with
mentality,
Sheila.
right?
Still,
And like the alien influence is the reason for this homogenization of all people. That is the reason why, and he fails to mention this. Good observations though.
Yeah, there's
Sometimes
some
you can
real
only
alienation
observe
going on.
sometimes you can only observe the effects of a phenomena and not the phenomena itself.
Mm-hmm. This was like a good few years ago. Um, our ability to recognize the reasons behind the our systems have evolved. I will give him grace.
He seems both more optimistic and more bleak than I would have given him credit for. Like a lot of the things that he's saying about people being reduced and reduced and reduced has happened. This was what, like 20 years ago? I pulled the book out of my bag and I like checked the copyright date on
Yeah,
it.
it was
Like, yeah,
it was in 1961. That's the English version, at
yeah,
least.
right. Um, and yeah, so he like he was right about a lot of what was gonna happen, but it seems like for the entire second half of the book, he just takes it as inevitable and like doesn't even explore the idea of what you could do about it to repersonalize people, and I find that kind of disappointing.
Mm. Yeah, you're
Like,
saying that he doesn't have.
there's a lot there. He can identify the problem, but he doesn't even begin to think of a solution. Like he couldn't imagine there even being one, at least in this one.
Mhm.
perhaps
He draws a diagram on the board.
perhaps his supplanting of a warning is sufficient for him. It's up to the conscious reader to make a real attempt to affect change.
He gestures to his diagram he's drawn on the board, and he says that um, this is the diagram that uh, Jung uses to represent like the human psychological state. Um, the For him, the central dot in the center, it represents the ego, where the outer self, beyond just like your immediate desires, and like selfish thought, um, you have all this extra white space around that, And this outer ring is your limits as you understand them. So that is kind of borrowed from Freud, where Freud would say he would describe your limits that you impose on yourself as your super ego.
It's a sun.
He looks at it and he's like, yeah, it's also that. I think of it like an atom. It's like got this part in the middle. It's got like the ring around it. But
I need to do research on physics next. She takes a note.
Yeah, we're gonna catch you with a gnome book next.
Mr. Vulcan, Doctor Vulcan. Is it? Sorry, wrong. Yeah,
Dr. Gray.
Dr. Gray. Do you know what Hawking radiation is?
No. Can't say I do.
Okay. This symbol you drew kind of reminded me of that, of what I visualized it as being.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh my God, Ricardo. How do I flip the camera? Oh my God. Ricardo, you are not gonna fucking believe.
You flipped it twice.
I know. I want you to see my face for a second. You want to see something I drew last night?
Oh no! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Man, get fucked. Hold on.
I had a point about the book, and I'm trying to remember what it is now because that blew it clear from my mind.
So fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. I can't believe you.
Okay.
I can't imagine why you can't believe me. It's just literally true. You can look that up.
These subliminals.
I feel like I'm gonna tear my eyes out.
Yeah, it looks like an eye too, depending on your perspective.
Sure.
Um,
It's an ink blot test.
It's an ink blot test. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyways, he continues
Okay.
with something that I find interesting between these two things that we've dug into is that while they are separated by nearly 3,000 years of thought and culture, Plato also observed, or Socrates, sorry, no, Plato. Yeah, Plato.
Plato's the Republic.
Plato's Republic. Yeah, I'm getting my books all mixed up. Plato also thought that the human self is divided up into three different versions, and they're pretty similar. What he called it is he would call it the instinct, which is to say, which is an equivalent to the ego, where it's all the things that you want to do, which he compares it to all the vices. That's all the vices that you wish to partake in, with like wine or sex or things like that. And then he said that that's what all animals have. Animals in the wild, they have that natural drive. But humans, he thinks that humans are distinct because they have a second thing, and that's their intelligence, and that gives them the control. That's kind of similar to this superego, which is the ring around this.
Which is their outer context, their ability to rationalize and
plan and not do things that they otherwise wish they could be doing. But in this third thing is where I feel like they diverge, where Jung would say that the third aspect is your personality. the Plato would say that that is your aversion principle, is what he called it, and that's what he would. That's how he would describe doing things that feel unnatural or like you don't want to do them, and you also logically don't have a reason to do them, but you still do them anyways. He compared this to like inspecting a corpse or other things of morbid curiosity. He said that man knows that they get nothing from this, and they have no desire to do it, yet they are compelled to anyways. And he thinks that this also is like a unique human attribute. What do you think about these two ways of thinking? I raised to the class. Who pipes up first?
Well, you can't know if animals have those other things because we can't really talk to them. Like if they did have those other things, they wouldn't be able to tell us. So we just kind of have to guess.
Well,
and I feel like it's very easy for people to guess wrong when they can't communicate.
True. But how
Very
well
much
can
so.
you trust the words of how someone thinks it themselves?
Well, oh, you reminded me of that. That's another thing that I've been like trying to chew on. I'm really trying to reconcile the idea of the unconscious mind as even really all the way being a thing, because I feel like my experience of being a guy is that if something's happening to me, I know about it. You know?
But you think about it.
Yeah.
You think about breathing? You know,
You
blinking?
can.
You can. Just like you
Yeah,
can.
you're doing it right now.
So, Jack, is it you? Would you say it's fair to say that you believe that you come to all your own decisions?
I think that if you get asked the right question, that you would be, I realize this is kind of a different thing, but like I feel like if you ask the right question, that would show you what's going on. You know? I don't think that this unknown is some unconquerable thing that you need some outside expert to tell you about. I think I don't think there's anything you can't know about yourself if you ask right.
What do you think about that, Sheila?
I think you can always learn. I think you can always approach a greater amount of knowledge, but
Do you think there's
who's
anything
to say?
about yourself that you can't know?
And she like sits there and like just like touches like the surface of the thing she doesn't know, but feels like it's there. She says, "Yes, yes, I do."
That's quitter talk.
She like shoots you a very cold look.
Well, Jack, is it fair to say that you, at least not at the present, not necessarily even at the present moment for you, but Sheila here says that she has things about herself that she doesn't actively know. What would you call that? Danny. You don't have to raise your hand, by the way. This is, you're not in high school anymore.
Listen, that's the last school I know, okay? Well, I know what I would call it. The only way that I wouldn't be able to know something about myself is under the alien influence.
Or insane person talk, if it was being hidden from you. Is that about the size of it?
It rubs her temples.
Also, I know what this might be moving past the argument, but to counter Plato's idea on animals not having what did he call it, the diversion principle, aversion principle?
Aversion.
Yeah, aversion principle. What about the famous saying, curiosity killed the cat?
Maybe it's not all animals.
I know a coyote will gnaw off its own foot to get out of a trap.
That's
It can't.
beneficial.
It can't really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But it knows it's for its own survival.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying, is that they know stuff. They do think.
Hmm.
Listen, I'm not saying that nobody in the world has ever not known something about themselves. That's just kind of the project of becoming an adult. You know, you don't come out of the crib knowing everything about yourself, but as you become a person, like you the project of growing up is learning that stuff.
I feel like that's a great spot to end on.
Wait.
Oh, would you like to try and one up that? That's a pretty hard quote to end on, to beat.
Yeah, that's what you call self-actualization, when you actually know everything about yourself.
You know what? That's a solid follow up.
I think Sheila's just tapping a red pen on her notebook over and over and over again.
Man.
I meant to end a session there, everybody.
Hmm.
Oh.
Oh, I have more stuff that I want to get out of this guy.
Oh,
Like,
okay. We've been in
yeah.
class for 30 minutes, but if you want to keep going,
Yeah.
let's get through your points.
Yeah, this
Does anybody else have points, by the way, that they wish to raise, or is it just
I
Jack at the moment?
I can keep talking.
I have points as a person who has read the book, not as
You can
not
let
as
Danny
Danny
have your
D.
thoughts. You can lend Danny some of your thoughts.
No.
Let him get a little
No.
introspective. He did just spend an entire day being introspective.
Yeah, that's a good justification in universe for Danny to have some more of your thoughts.
I think my thoughts are too radical for the time. So we you continue, Jack.
Okay. I think it's really interesting to see how this book isn't that old and you still get some of the well, it's like he says psychic so many times, and there's this overcurrent of the supernatural that runs through the book, or like because he mentions parapsychology a number of times and how much stock he puts in that, and but also he'll go off in diatribes about things that are not strictly psychology. I would call them philosophy, and I like contrasting this against the Republic from last week. I think that they share a common root, and that the clinicalization of psychology has been the engine of depersonalization that he was worried about, and I just have to wonder if he realized that he was being a part of that process with his work. The offices um, of scientific journals as the arbiters of absolute truth is, well, it keeps me up at night.
Yeah, that's something that I, myself worry about. The
Yeah, I don't really trust the scientists because they haven't caught on to the aliens yet. That, or they're just lying to us.
well, what I was going to
That's
say
Yeah.
about the scientists is, a what you said about mixing psychology with belief, as he calls it, or as he as you call it just now, parapsychology.
Yeah.
I think of that almost like the modern religion of science.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know how you guys are, but you don't exactly look like Sunday churchgoers.
I mean, I was.
Did he die?
Figuring it out. And you know, the belief in
Raised that
science
way, but
that's on that.
you know, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I do break in at that moment to say, well, you know, I was raised that way, but I guess I've seen some crazy stuff that defies explanation by normal means. You know.
Yeah, there's you know, there's a lot of people that are looking to new places for answers. For this kind of thing that they feel like they can't find in religion, either because it's too restricted in its thought. Because it used to be religion used to be treated just like any other science.
Mm.
If you read like older works by like, you know, we have the image of like, oh, you know, the Catholic Church, you know, they burn every heretic to the ground. But if you were a priest, you could hold some pretty radical views relative to the church, as long as you know were arguing about them and not, you know, necessarily broadcasting them 24/7.
How many angels can fit on the head of a pin?
Yeah, that kind of thing. They argued about that kind of stuff all the time, and that's where they get all their rules, and that's where they keep updating them.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest
His
of the
use
world,
of the word psychic over and over again is. Oh, he's like a German guy, right? I wonder if that's like a translation.
I think it's a literal translation for psychology.
How different is his use of the term psychic and, you know, what we would describe as psychological? And in addition, how different are the two concepts as we know them?
That's a very good question. I mean, colloquially, you know, psychics are, you know, tarot card reading, fortune tellers, you know, ghost tamers.
Sure, but I'm thinking about the influence of your thought on something or someone else. That like the more science fiction definition. And I wonder where one begins and the other ends.
I eyeball the tape. About how much tape is there left in the cassette?
We have been talking for 45 real minutes.
Yeah.
So just about now, probably.
Yeah, I think that's it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I pop the tape and flip to the B side and start recording the B side.
God damn it! I was gonna take that as like, all right. Hi guys. Welcome.
I mean, if you want to end on this, you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm like this I was like this actually in college, so.
Yeah.
We can keep having the conversation. So we need an end at some point.
Yeah. So here's what I think happens.
Well, my final moment. As soon as I put the tape down and hit record again, I'm gonna say, you ever run into a guy named Fulcanelli?
All right, and on that we can end.
That's fucking bad.
Actually, the thing I was going to say for us to end was right before that, which is it clicks. And the next episode will start with you popping it out, flipping it over, and then we continue.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's real good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone feel good about that session?
Yeah, that was really good.
I'm sorry you didn't get to shoot anybody.
That's okay. It's not all about shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Nope.
Say bayonara to the audience. They'll
See you
see you
later,
in a week.
liners. Come back next episode. Shout out to
Yep.
Phil.
Smell
You know who you are.
Smell you later, liners.